Hello, Beep Baseball World. Welcome to episode number 147 of the Beepball Blue Show. For those of you that track or may have just started tracking on the podcast, of course, it's only episode number 30 there. But the Beepball Blue Show's been going on for nearly 4 years up on YouTube. Just a little reminder there, Seth Dog. I got Bam Bam here with me, obviously. What up, Seth Dog? I guess I didn't have all my thoughts totally together right there.
It's all good, man. We appreciate you, Neil Dog. You know, it is 4 years since the start of the pandemic, man. We were all just, especially here in California, we're all just shutting down, man, sitting in our house.
That I know that actually really is where it all started. Like that's where I got the idea from originally, is because I'm sitting at home for like a week at that point, and like CNN reporters are on their iPhones at home doing their reports, like everything in TV and radio was coming from people's homes, and like radios hadn't even figured out how to use Zoom yet. So even like they were on their phones or whatever. So I was like, man, I kind of got the idea to just go into Beepball Nation, which is our largest beepball gathering, not just on Facebook, but probably anywhere. And it's like, man, I'm just going to go out there on Sunday nights and for 4 or 5 weeks, do a little virtual training camp. Just while at home, people at home with the blues. That's where the Beepball Blues. Well, and the very first episode, I used my Jeff Healey music, who is a blind blues guitar player. So I don't know. I kind of brought it all around. But a significant point to that, Seth Dog.
Yeah.
10 minutes later.
I thought we were just talking about Neil, man. Come
we
on,
just
man.
talking, really.
Yeah, we don't need any point, man.
Hey, everybody
on,
that gather with us, you could go now. I'm sorry. There's not going to be enough time to get into your lives. The next show we are going to do 2 weeks from tomorrow is when we'll record the live episodes, my hope. On March 29th, it'll be a little recap of the Las Vegas tournament that we're previewing tonight. But March 29th is the actual 4-year anniversary from when I hit that live button the first time.
Oh, okay. So there was a point. Yay!
Yeah.
So are you gonna, on March 29th or next week or whenever the hell that is? Are you? Yeah, go ahead. You can tell me. I know it is. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything. I'm confused. I'm on spring break, so my job clock is gone. I don't know what week I'm in. So what is that? 2 weekends from now?
It's a Friday, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Right. That makes sense. But are you going to tell us how the Beepball Blues show started again? Just even though you just told us and stuff like that, will you tell Papa? Will you please do?
Nah, I didn't plan. Mama, please do. No, I had absolutely no plans of doing it tonight. So I shouldn't say no because I don't know.
Yeah, right.
All of this conversation just happened. None of it was planned.
Ad-libbing, man.
None of it was planned. Still, let's go ahead and get into it. We do have 3 guests that are here to talk about the Viva Beepball Invitational that is going to be played on the 22nd, Friday the 22nd, when it will start, and the majority of the games will be played on Saturday the 23rd. I will be out there live with my Sirens as one of the 6 teams participating. But with us tonight,
hold on, Neil. Can I just jump in before you get there? Can you pull your thoughts together? I hear you go. I just want to point out, man. Next Friday, the 22nd, man. That'll be my anniversary of my church day, man. So
is that the day you died, or the day you came back to life? They were the same. Is that
they were one and the same? Yeah.
Is that when you came out of a coma, or the day you died on us?
The day, unfortunately, I passed away. It was the day I passed away.
Well, fortunately, you're only gone for like 2 minutes or so.
Exactly.
They
Man. We
brought
can
you
handle.
back.
Exactly.
You act like it was scary or something.
I always say I'm a screw up, man. I've screwed a lot of things up. I even couldn't die right, man. So, but here I am. But yes,
Fortunately, the brain damage was minimal.
yeah. All right, I'm sorry, man. Ad-libbing, get people off track again, man. Go ahead. Let the people know who we have with us today, man. Let the
I
people know.
I'm going to introduce all three, and then I'm going to let them say hello in reverse order. But we have from the SGV Panthers and the big SoCal beep baseball monster, Darren Keepers is here with us. We have Mike Curtis here with us, a coach, a pitcher, the brains behind the sound on Mind's Eye Radio. And we also have his boss, the CEO and general manager of Mind's Eye Radio. I'll let you jump in first. Jason Frazier, how's it going, my man?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here with you guys this evening.
Good, good. Looking forward to hearing about this tournament and even later about your archers. Mike Curtis, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having us on here and get to talk about the tournament. Like how you just introduced Jason as my boss. Like he hasn't done everything that I do for Mind's Eye already. He just did it longer, and now he's got a better title.
He's just warming up. So next week or so he can introduce himself as my boss. So he's just warming it up, man.
I've never done that before.
I don't know. It seems like it's almost like it has happened, but who knows? But West Side.
People may remember that we have had Darren Keepers on the show in the past. And I remember telling you then that Darren Keepers has always been very intimidated by me. So when he's around me, he can't project his voice very well. So tonight he's going to be using the Zoom chat so that he can feel brave enough to talk to me. D Keep, what up, baby?
Hello, Seth and Neil. Doing good. Thanks for having us on.
You bet. You bet. And, I mean, I know people know I was being a clown, but if I remember right, Darren, your vocal cords are paralyzed, I believe is the word that you shared with me. And I've been hearing you in the meetings, like the board meeting and the meeting for this Las Vegas tournament, and you're using the chat to be able to jump in there without having to fight over all us loud people. And I thought that was cool. So I'm glad you're able to use it. Did I get that right about your voice?
Yes, sir, for about 20 years now. No, this is an artificial intelligence voice.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. I was wondering how you pulled that off because, and even though I have Zoom and the AI option stuff has popped up, I've never even investigated it. But because people use chat in Zoom all the time, and my voiceover reads it, and it sounds different than when you've been using it. So that helps me a little bit. I've wanted to make the joke with you that you sound like Stephen Hawking's, but I realized when wanting to make the joke that I don't know what Stephen Hawking sounds like. I'm thinking of all the like Howard Stern shows and what's that show you like? You
The
got me
Big Bang.
the Big Bang Theory. Like I'm thinking of the voices they're using on TV show bits and on radio bits. It's like I don't even know what Stephen Hawking sounds like.
I believe that's his speech synthesizer.
I believe it is. I don't know that they're using the same one though.
Right. I guess you could probably use different voices and stuff like that.
Exactly right.
Look.
Yeah, that's way cool. All right, fellas. Let's jump on into the Viva Las Vegas, Viva Las Beepball Invitational that's coming up. I've always believed that you guys were kind of the group that pulled it together. Starting with you guys, Mike and Jason, like how'd this all come together? How do you end up in Vegas?
So last year, I think it was like around the World Series. It was right before the World Series. I had talked to Darren. and we were like, hey, I know you guys don't get a chance to play really before the World Series, and we were trying to figure a way where it was going to be like a Archers, Panthers, kind of like just like a little invitational thing. We would go out to California and do something. And then I was like, that'd be cool because I love LA. And I was like, I can even go down to San Diego. So I didn't mind that idea. But I said we could probably expand this. We find a travel hub somewhere that, has a lot of flights that's around there. And maybe we can get a small tournament going together. And I just asked him, how close are you to Vegas? I think he said like 3 or 4 hours. And here we are. So this is the Vegas Beepball Invitational. It actually was a meeting right before at the World Series last year in Norman where we sat at a table, discussed the dates, discussed the potential teams. I missed a piece of advice that the wise John Fleming told me. He's like, hey, March Madness is this weekend. So if you ever wonder why, like, this weekend's gonna be pretty crazy because March Madness will be in Vegas this week. And I thought he meant you can the tournament was going on. I'm like, what does that matter, John? I didn't realize it was actually gonna be in Vegas at the same time. So it'll be pretty busy down in Vegas, and I'm glad we're doing it with the 6 teams that are coming. But I know Darren can probably speak to a little bit of his ideas and kind of, maybe some of the frustrations of probably not being able to be in a tournament before the World Series, not getting really to play anybody until you show up to the World Series. But this year, that'll actually change for his team.
I didn't, even though I've always thought this weekend, could whatever it would be affected by March Madness. I only thought just because like it's one of the biggest the first weekend's one of the biggest gambling weekends of the year probably, and people like big groups of people like to go to Vegas and just spend the weekend watching that first weekend. I had no idea there was actually going to be like a regional played there. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I was actually playing tennis one weekend, and the guy I tried to find a guy to sub for me, and he said, I'm gonna be in Vegas that weekend. He said, so I'm going to the tournament, and that's when I realized, like, oh, you're actually going to be going to tournament games. Okay, so that changed the whole the whole thing of like why Vegas will be pretty crowded that week, plus spring break. So yeah, a little couple, but I think we pulled it off and figured it out, and just excited, but also already mentioning, this Vegas tournament in addition to the teams coming and getting some chance to go to Vegas. Some people going for the first time. You also get a chance to expose other people to the game. I know we've got a couple of media people coming out. We've had to reach out to some other groups in Vegas. So actually just being able to also market the sport of beat baseball gives another opportunity for another market. Maybe to hopefully that they'll get, I know Vegas had a team before, but hopefully get back in it and we'll see them at a future World Series and the team that can actually compete with Darren in the future too.
Yeah, definitely. Darren, I had jumped in and asked Jason a follow-up, but did you have something you wanted to add in?
Yes, I love how it all came together. It went from the 2 teams to 4 teams, and we said, all right, let's make it 6 and have some fun. I'm so excited to be doing this with Mind's Eye. This will literally be our first regional tournament, so we are super stoked. Jason and Mike have been so fun to work with.
Yeah, Seth and I, played when we played together, played exclusively here on the West Coast. And even though when the two of us started in the 80s, there was a league here, and there was until at least like 93, there was always at least 4 teams in this area. But we also had I mean, you're playing in a regional sooner than we ever did. I've never played in a regional because teams didn't pick up any of us really. Like, I mean, players were always trying to get our boy Eric Kansas on.
All
right. But teams weren't reaching out to get us to go to like these regional type tournaments, and we couldn't afford to go to both. Darren, you're finding out it's expensive to get a California team to any of these World Series, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think this is our 7th season, so it's great to be part.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, hey, Mike, I was going to ask you to talk about because this is a change that's going to be at the National Beat Baseball Association World Series this year, as far as awards being handed out, and on defense specifically, rather than just the six players that make the most putouts. Now, with your tournament and at the World Series, it's going to be the two that make the most at short, in the short part of the field, two in the middle of the field, and two in the deep part of the field. Could you talk about throwing that together?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, at most regional tournaments, you want to do some sort of awards and recognition. With it being a 16 tournament, most teams are only going to play 3 games total. So having 6 offensive, 6 defensive awards didn't make a whole lot of sense because then you have half the tournaments of teams are getting an award, and that doesn't make it feel as special. So we wanted to do 3 aside, and then on defense, we're doing it at the level. So 1 short player, 1 mid player, and 1 deep player. I think there's a minimum of 8 innings you have to play at that position to count for it, out of your 3 games, and then utility. So whoever gets the most putouts again after that, in multiple positions. So if somebody plays 2 different positions and gets 10 putouts or whatever, and that would qualify them. So that's who the utility defensive award player will go to. And then offense, it'll be 3 highest batting averages with the minimum. I think we set it at 7 at bats.
Seth, and thanks, Mike, for clarifying that because I was thinking about your tournament and the World Series. But I did know already, Seth, that they're going with 3 and 3, but and on defense, the 4th award to a utility player. But I've talked about with you on this show how in these smaller tournaments, especially since the awards could go towards helping people get into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
The playing 3 games and somebody with 6 putouts over 3 games making an all tournament team isn't like I don't know. It's not like Hall of Fame like that should should be part of somebody's bid to the Hall of Fame.
No, I totally understand that. So that makes total sense to cut it down to 1. Gives it especially at the different levels, it gives it kind of a singularity. It's like you done something. So I think that's a cool idea.
Mike, I at the last board meeting when they were talking about changing their own stat sheet that they plan to do this year to look at things the same way. Because I had just been part of your meeting, I got to chime in on that a little bit because they were still talking about how um, it's like how they're going to figure out how to identify where the putout was played or made. And I was like, well, they're doing it in Vegas. They're doing it this way. So could you share with the audience like how you plan to, help figure that stuff out? How you plan to put it down in the score sheets?
Yeah, our main scorekeeper that weekend is going to be Katie Mathina, who actually helped do that for the All-Star game. So she's going to use a similar method. I mean, it's not really rocket science.
Yeah, I realized that when you said it. It's like, oh, you know what? We probably could have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just making the spots on the score sheet for them. Most people, say if Richie Crussell got to put out, it'd be PO, and then you would write 28. Now all you really have to do is write an S for short, an M for mid, and a D for deep right next to that as well. And so that way, when you go to record them, you know where that putout was made. I mean, I know you get into like where that putout. So say if he's playing short left and he goes back to a 1, and he goes back 140 feet and makes it because that's where a dead zone was. He just was the guy that made the play. Do you count that as a mid putout, a deep putout, or a front putout? Because he's playing the front position, but he got it at a different level. So that's where it kind of gets tricky. Yeah, I guess that will probably have to figure out. If I had to guess,
how did you solve it? Or how did I was kind of confused that it sounded like Neil was saying that you are gonna do it based on where the putout was made, though I always thought it was going to be where the person started, whether they were short, middle, or deep.
Yeah,
so
that's probably the cleaner method to do it. of where the player starts on the field. I mean, yeah, I guess crazier things can happen, but if the player makes the put out, I mean, you're going to have very few instances where that's going to happen, where those levels are going to overlap like that. I think it just makes most sense wherever the player starts out at that position.
All right.
Even though I understand that, like the way I said it gave you that impression, if that wasn't with intent, that was just me, whatever, talking about it. I'm in agreement with you that in my mind, I've just been assuming the best way to do it without pulling on hairs is to wherever the player is position when the play starts.
Yeah, because then you get into like, so say if the short player makes a play in the mid zone, is somebody going to stop play, take out the measuring tape from home plate, and like, oh no, that was a mid put out. So. No. Speed of game, just like regular baseball is a thing in deep baseball that probably needs to happen a little bit more too. So anything to make the game longer is probably going to be against that.
Yeah. So you can achieve the same results by just doing it that way. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Simple as far.
No, I love it, and I'm glad this is going to be the start of it. I'm curious as far as putting on a tournament in Las Vegas where none of you live. What kind of challenge were you faced with as far as any kind of sponsorship or getting fields, all that stuff? I'll start with you, Jason.
Yeah, those challenges are very vast. You know, that's one of the things we knew it was going to be a little bit of a challenge, but some things are just simply like, you know, getting equipment there. I know Darren has a drive, but I know he also has other things he had to put in their vehicles to little bases. Even for us, like today, me and Mike were like, oh, we need balls for practice. We shouldn't put like 9 beeping balls on the plane or in the carry-on to alert everybody. So we were like, how do we get the balls down there that we need for practice? So we decided I have a buddy down there. We're going to ship him to his house. So this little logistics like that is, you got to think about it like sponsors. And I think this year we figured, hey, let's promote the event. We can try a couple things with sponsorship, but we didn't really have a lot of huge plans for it. But we also wanted to make connections. So we have been able to connect with different agencies, different volunteer groups down there. That's been very helpful. But I know with being year one, we knew sponsorships and then just figuring out logistics going forward were going to be a challenge. But I think this group, you know, Darren, Mike, also I'm going to show kudos to Richie for it. He's been a huge asset too in putting this tournament together. I think we've navigated those pretty well. We hope that all comes to fruition that next Friday. Like, we're not like, did you forget the bats, Mike? Where are the bats at? But I think, yeah, we've navigated everything on a good base of getting equipment down there. And then working with the hotel. I think most teams this weekend, and Neil, you can probably attest for the Sirens, I think are staying in the Airbnb. So it actually worked out to have, instead of working with the hotel, most teams are doing their team bond and you're all in the same house. So if you don't know your teammates by the time you get down to Vegas, you're going to know them in those 2 days. Because most teams are sharing the same space for 2 whole days or more. We'll be down there starting on Thursday. So we'll know what everybody likes to eat, what time everybody probably goes to the bathroom, everything you know about each other that weekend, you'll know.
Yeah, to confirm what you said, I'm not sure I'll still be a coach on March 24th after staying with the Sirens for 5 days. But no, actually, it's I'm looking forward to it. Our whole team's looking forward to it. Mike, you got thoughts on the logistics of it all?
Yeah, I've been more boots on the ground person. Actually, when I went out to Vegas last August to kind of scout these places, I probably looked at 10 or so different fields. Anybody that's put on tournaments before probably knows some of the challenges of booking fields and things like that, let alone outside your region or inside your region, the logistics of being outside your region. But people who don't put on tournaments may not know everything that goes into booking fields. So the fields that we're at, the Allenbeck Memorial Park, is owned by the city of Las Vegas. So it's city park. It's a public park, but it's private, if that makes any sense, because it's gated and you have to reserve it. But with that becomes liability insurance, which I had to get extra for. There is the actual park fee itself. You have to worry about the lighting logistics if you need lights for your fields, which we do since we're playing night games. And then also you actually need a business license too, since you're actually putting on an event, even though we're not selling anything. So going through a city municipality, think of city government, there's red tape and things like that. Some of these fees were not as expensive as not that expensive. Running the fields are expensive, but doing all these things people don't think about. You can't just show up to a park and be like, "Hey, we're going to play at this park," and we told the city about it. There's lots of things that go into it for liability purpose, insurance purposes, and then just guaranteed purposes. We'll put it that way. And then like tents, chairs. We had 2 rent chairs that'll be getting delivered and picked up Saturday evening after the conclusion of events. Darren's lucky enough to bring tents. The fields that we're on, we can't use stakes, so we have to use sandbags or weights, which I think I was smart enough that whenever I booked the chairs, they asked if we needed sandbags or weights, and I said yes, so I got dual purpose for that. And then logistics of tearing down overnight. So do we leave things kind of there and lock it up and hopefully nobody comes and steals all of our chairs? Do we rent a U-Haul and pack everything up and store it there? So there's lots of things that go into it that people don't think about until you start doing the work. So it sounds like, oh, you just throw together a tournament. It's not that hard. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
All right. I meant to say this after Jason, you spoke, but just a shout out to Richie Flores. I'm glad you mentioned him. I literally almost invited him to be part of this because I noticed he was part of the Vegas meeting, but I thought maybe he was just there representing the Fire because Richie's got to play with every team in the NBBA before his career's over. I know he's playing with the Fire in this tournament, but I wish I would have gone ahead and asked him to join in with us. D-Keep, you got thoughts on this?
I give Jason and Mike a lot of credit. Even though we are closer, we don't have any contacts there. We are fortunate to have a connection to the Nevada Pioneers, and I think they'll be a big help as far as volunteers. I think we are proving that this can be done, and I think this could be a good blueprint for future tournaments in really cool locations. There are so many logistics, but we feel great going into the tournament. We have learned a lot from this experience, and we'll have a lot of good information to eventually handle our own tournament.
Yeah, I remember that I know you've been motivated to get a Southern California tournament going or whatever. So I hope this is kind of a launch pad that could help you get there.
That would have been cool when we were playing Neil Dog to have a Southern California tournament. Not one necessarily here, but to travel and not have to travel all the way across the world to go play beepball. Because traveling is fun. Going to places and stuff.
I actually don't like traveling. I like going places. I like being places, but I hate all the dealing with the getting to the airport and whatever. It's not something I enjoy.
No, I don't either. I don't like flying, Neil Dog.
That's what I almost pointed out, that the reason you wish we played a tournament in Southern California because that was a short train ride for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Only about 8-10 hours on the train instead of 2-3 days.
my favorite tournament, Sacramento and Stockton, man.
Oh, mine too, since I won a championship both those years. Oh,
traitor.
Yeah. Could you guys break down the teams and the brackets for us?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it just because I got it right in front of me. One thing I had to double check the game times too. So the 2 brackets, Gateway Archers, Austin Blackhawks, and SGV Panthers. And then bracket 2, Philly Fire, St. Louis Sirens, and the Indy Thunder. Game time, you want me to go through the whole game schedule too?
You might as well, because this is our community that will be looking for the stream. So if you don't mind.
Yeah. So Friday night at 6:30, you'll have the Blackhawks versus the Panthers, and then the Philly Fire versus the St. Louis Sirens. Saturday,
poor that Fire ain't gonna last because the Sirens is coming.
And then is Vegas on West Coast time or is it Mountain time?
Yeah, West Coast, Pacific.
Okay, so
time.
So this is on Pacific time, by the way. So everybody else in the Beepball landscape will have to adjust their clocks. Saturday, 8:30, Gateway Archers versus Panthers. Then Philly Fire versus Indy Thunder. 11:30, Gateway Archers versus the Austin Blackhawks. And then Field 2 is Indy Thunder versus St. Louis Sirens. And then at 2:30, you have your first and third place games. And then 5:30, you'll have your fifth place game. Also at 5:30 on the other field, there could be an exhibition between Austin and then any other players or another team if that wants to happen. It's also where we're going to be doing community demonstration. So anybody in the Las Vegas community that comes out wants to try actions of beat baseball of hitting or fielding, we'll be doing that on side of the park too. So that'll be a chance for locals to kind of get more hands-on experience in one play. We wanted to dedicate a time to that, to do that for the community, since that's part of the reason why the tournament's there. So yeah, that's the main tournament.
Set Dog, I would never say this publicly in front of these guys, but these clowns are going to make fifth place play after. Not that I expect to be in the fifth place game, but just in case, they're going to make us the fifth place game be played after first place and third place have already been decided.
Yeah, I heard you complain about that last time. We thought, since it'd be Saturday in Vegas, that the teams that do better should get the opportunity to enjoy the night a little bit better. So if you don't want to play at 5:30, play better and win some games.
and you
says
guys,
the people that put us in. Says the people put us in the bracket with the Fire and the Thunder. I'm sorry, Seth.
No, I'm just saying, and you guys are favored to do better, right? You guys will be out of there, man, partying. Well, I
mean, neither. No matter if whatever game the Archers or Panthers might be playing in, we're going to be there all day running the tournament anyway. So it's not like me or Jason or Darren get to go home early.
Yeah, we don't get to hit the casinos that early, so don't worry. We'll be out there.
You know what? It's selfish, but I feel a lot better now.
I'll be out there. I'll be out there from 3 p.m. on Friday to 10 p.m. on Saturday. I'm the one lining the fields, so that's one thing that we have to do too. So.
Hey, Neil, as coach, man, I love the confidence you're displaying, man. Love the confidence, man.
Well, it's a tough bracket, man. Well, we're playing against third and fourth place from last year.
You know, that just makes the glory all the bit greater, man, you know?
It's all right. It's all right. You know, I agree with everything Rob Wiseman said on the show last week. I mean, you know, we all got to learn. I admitted the very first game I ever played in, the score was 19-1 at the end of the first inning. The first real game against an MBBA team I ever played in. So, you know what? That's part of learning how to get better.
Yeah, I won the first game I ever played in the MBBA.
Yeah, I think the Archers were 0-13 before we won a game. So.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that makes me feel better too, Mike.
Yeah, right?
I'm a real selfish human being.
Everybody takes their lumps, I guess.
Hey, real quick, to Jason and Mike, only because you're cited. Can we have a real quick Rob Wiseman report? Because when he was on the show last week, I learned for the first time that for a long time while doing this show, speaking of how long it's been going, I've had a big old stain up here on the door frame up here, and I tried to get it off. Have I had any success?
No, you're good.
It's clean?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's a little blurry right now, but yeah, it looks clean. You got a lot of daylight.
I'll take
through.
blurry. People can't judge as much on blurry. They got to blame it on blurry.
Hey, Neil, just because you brought it up,
yeah,
my mom wanted me to tell you that she's been looking at that stain for years now, and she just never wanted to say anything to you. So.
You know, ironically, like this, the reason it's there is because this desk has a tray that pulls out, and that's where I leave my laptop. And I pulled it out, and I guess I'm telling them.
Oh, I got you.
I know you already know. It's gonna be part of my point. I'm lazy, So I leave this chair right here so that I can just pull the tray in and out when I want it. But this is the doorway to go into my kitchen. So as I walk around behind it, I put my hand up on the wall for like a little guard because, as Seth could tell you, because I don't move this chair even when he's here as a guest. I know that he's, I'm sure you've had to kind of work around this chair to get into the kitchen before. So as I know, I'm conscious of the fact that I always put my not always, but I often will put a hand up there to kind of guide me through the little area. I never put 2 cents of thought into the fact that I'm creating a big stain.
All right.
Yeah, it's nothing new to me. So the Jim Layton, who used to be a board operator at Mind's Eye Studios for about 20 years until he retired, he was visually impaired, and I could tell where he walks over the weekends, just by the trail along the wall of either spilt coffee, creamer, usually in certain places. So it's not nothing new. So nothing to be ashamed about. It's just years of habit.
I'm kind of ashamed for our whole community as you tell that story, because I know that I know that we're all doing that.
You're setting blind people back like 50 years, as my father would say.
No, I mean, it's not setting us back, but it just makes me realize that every sighted person that spends time around us has one of those stories. Has a story like that.
Not only am I do all the director of special initiatives Mind's Eye, I'm usually the part-time janitor too. So I help clean the office a lot too. So I'm not above cleaning stuff.
Dang, Jason, you make this dude do everything.
I just say it's a special initiative, so that's my title. Anything can be a special initiative. You just tell me to do it.
I mean, yeah, he's pretty talented though. I said helps with the audio description program, broadcast program. Even this year, our starting pitcher for the Archers. So a lot of things on his plate this we keep piling on for him.
Yeah, I just on that note, because I was going to talk about with the Archers, and we'll dive into the Archers more specifically, but one of the first non-Siren games, I think the first non-Siren game that I went to at the World Series was that Thursday night when the Archers and the Comets were playing. And I hadn't heard yet that, I believe Johnny Walker got knocked out of the game earlier. It took a hard hit or whatever from a ball. But man, Mike, I stand on the sideline listening to you hit bats. You've really come along as a pitcher, man.
Yeah, I mean, years of background practice. So when I was coaching a team, I'm not coaching anymore, unless you want to call pitching a coach. I help coach the team, not the head coach. Yeah. But yeah, I would usually be the first one to practice because I had all the equipment, picking up guys and team members to the fields. We'd have a half hour, 45 minutes before the rest of the squad showed up. So I'd get some reps in that way, just so we're not standing around doing nothing. And yeah, it just kind of built off that. So quietly, I've got in good reps and got a small talent for it, I guess. I mentioned earlier how we were 0-13. That's when we had Ashley Wrench and Mari pitching a lot of those games, not to their fault of why we lost those games. But the first game we won, I ended up pitching just because Mari and Ashley weren't available for that tournament. We beat the South Georgia Copperheads, I don't know, 13-1 or something like that. So I got the Archers' first win in year 2, I think. So our first career win, anyways.
You know me, Mike. Self-promotion, baby. Jump right on it.
Nah. And then Walker not only took one bad hit, he took 2 bad hits in a game against the Tyler Tigers. So the first one he was muscling through, and then the other one he took in the backside and got his ribs pretty badly. So he tried pitching through it, but he just wasn't effective. So earlier in the World Series this year, I think the second game we had, Walker and Mark Morris weren't connecting the way that we hoped to. So I gave Mark a few practice pitches. He liked it. So I was his personal pitcher for the first few games. So that was my warm up to get into play. And then Yeah, I had a pretty good series. As far as statistics, I was happy with my progression. I surprised myself with how well I did, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, and then the talented roster we got this year only makes my job easier too.
So you pitched a nice home run last weekend too.
Yeah, I didn't roll clips on everything. I wish I recorded a whole practice. I think that total practice, I think Justin hit 2 of them, and then actually Caleb Wright hit 2 home runs in practice as well. We didn't have 170 marked, but we kind of knew where it was. So yeah, that's cool. I'm more of a lob ball style pitcher rather than a straight line pitcher like some other guys out there. So that kind of helps a little bit.
I actually prefer that. Like Tim Hipner, I've considered a lob pitcher, and we loved playing with Timmy. But before we dive all into the team stuff from either team, do any of you guys have more that you'd like to throw out about the Las Vegas tournament before we move on? Anything we didn't touch on?
No, I mean from a streaming standpoint, I'm pretty sure every game will be covered, either if it's not by the MBBA team, either by the Archers, by the Panthers. I know Blackhawks, Thunder, Fire, they'll be streaming their games too. So you shouldn't have to go too far to find every game being streamed somewhere. I'm sure they'll get shared to Beepball Nation as fast as possible too. So every game should have video and coverage. And hopefully it's good coverage too. So I know Friday nights, I'll probably be running most things on tournament logistical wise, but Jason will be on the call for one of those games. I don't know which one, if they decided which game yet.
I just realized, yeah, we'll be in those calls, and I just thought about this. Those games for 6:30 games on Friday, some of them may not end until almost midnight on the East Coast time in Indy and Philadelphia. So that's going to be interesting too.
You guys are going to learn what Darren and Seth and I have learned is the West Coast bias everybody has against us, because all our games end up going so late. All the East Coasters, Central Coasters can't stay up late enough for our games to finish.
Yeah, I just put that together, and I think we were talking about the time zone difference earlier. I'm like, yeah, some of those games are going to drop pretty late if you're staying up in Indy or Philly. Even here in St. Louis, it's still going to be about 11:30 when probably the games will typically end. So some late night beatball watching, I guess, across the country that weekend or next weekend.
It's also good why they're recording. You can go back and watch them in the morning before the other games even start.
People could check them out whenever they want to, because that is the other side for the East Coasters. Like those morning games we're calling don't start till 11:30 on the East Coast, so they'll have plenty of time. So all right, let's go ahead and move to the teams a little more. I was going to go with you first, Darren, but since we've already kind of dove into the Archers a little bit, let's just finish up with the Archers, and then I'll get back to you on your Panthers. Mike, you mentioned it, and you were talking about the team. I'll get some thoughts from you too, Jason. Like, you guys already had a talented roster, and now you're going to have Justin Holland and Ricky Castaneda and David Smith coming on with you. I guess now I mean, I'm sure it's exciting back in October, but now that the games are going to start getting played, talk about the excitement of like the possibilities you guys have.
I'll let Jason go first, and then I'll talk.
I mean, just from just the initial practices, and not also going with we talk about the new addition of the players that we are bringing in, but some of the guys just seem extra motivated in reps and just seeing them in practice. And even the guy that, I know you said he was doing some self-promotion, but he's looked pretty good in pitching and these to make all those things click. So I'm pretty excited about what we're going to bring to the table this year. I know last year didn't go the way we wanted to, but that was when we addressed those things in the offseason and knew that the full plan for us was to field a highly competitive roster. We host the World Series here in St. Louis. And that's what we wanted to do, and I think that's what we've done. So I'm excited about what we're going to bring to the table, start out in Vegas and Oklahoma, and we have the battle for Illinois, which I guess you'll be the first one to know the official date for that is May 18th in Springfield, Illinois against the Comets, and Indy Bonanza and Bolingbrook. So we have a full schedule too. So these guys who maybe have not played together, we'll have plenty of times and plenty of opportunities to gel this year.
It seems like you're getting it just for practices, even though like some are spread out. It seems like you're getting a good group of them coming in to St. Louis to get time in with the Archers too.
Yeah, and then it's also getting just used to because I always say St. Louis. I'm biased, so St. Louis is one of the best sports towns here. And just natural. And even last week we had our soiree, which is Mind's Eye's big gala, and then we
Yeah.
talked a little about the guitar, but a lot of the theme and a lot of the energy was around that group of supporters of Mind's Eye talking about, hey, Archers Bullseye doing a chance, getting ready, getting fired for the World Series. We pretty much laid the gauntlet down to our supporters and the people in that room and outside that room that, hey, when we roll up for July for that first game of the World Series, we want you guys we want to create an environment where you guys are in the sidelines, really giving the team home field advantage. I know people are like, oh, home, but like having that energy, having that crowd behind you, having the rally tiles that we've created too as well. We want to create a pretty unique atmosphere for our team at the World Series too. So and they were able to see that. A lot of the new guys were in town. They were able to witness that. Were able to meet some of our supporters. So they also have some new energy behind them, seeing what's behind them in the city of St. Louis and the Metro East area here in Missouri, Illinois.
Nice, Mike.
Yeah, the guys that we brought in have been super supportive and about what we're doing and what we're trying to do. Not only are we bringing in great beat baseball players, we're bringing in great leaders, one with experience on championship level teams, and then also individuals that kind of help out other Mind's Eye programs as well. So as phenomenal as a beat baseball player Ricky is, he's also on the U.S. Paralympic blind soccer team, which we're trying to get started. So he's coaching me up on some of that stuff, so I can come coach up some of the players here, and build out our program for that as well in the future. And then just getting the synergy. I think they've come into town 3 times already since we announced them as Archers. And then with all the tournaments we'll have plenty of reps with them at certain tournaments, but also it gives us the flexibility now as opposed to having a 10-player roster. So we got 14 now. Some people don't have to play every single inning of every game anymore, and that'll do wonders for the World Series, but also gives us the flexibility of tournaments of who can go. So even though we might have had 10 or 11 Archers last year, there's certain tournaments where people couldn't go, and we had to borrow somebody like David Smith, where that relationship kind of began of him getting involved with Mind's Eye. And then, yeah, things kind of snowballed from there. David Smith over the past few years has been one of the greatest people I've gotten to know. Ricky Castaneda, he came up and helped us coach a blind soccer clinic for Lighthouse for the Blind Sports Camp, which we help run. Got to spend a whole weekend with him, phenomenal person. And then Justin, we met him at the All-Star game in 2022, and spent some time with him there and got to know him really well. So the people that we brought in, they're great people, and they're also helping us build our program even more. We got a lot of younger guys coming up who, not saying that they couldn't learn from the guys that we currently had, but having the expertise that we have brought in too is only going to make our program better.
In the end, just knowing this, having come up a blind person through the young blind person through the sport, you never know who's going to latch on to who is kind of a mentor. So having multiple people from them to choose from is that's a good thing, all the way around.
And that's kind of what we told each player when they were coming in too. Neil, to your point is, we weren't trying to. I know some people think, oh, it's just you guys are just trying to get this, the World Series 1 year and done. I said, no, we're trying to not just create a super or quote unquote super team. We want to build a super program. We want to make sure that they're passing down that knowledge and it's furthering the game of beat baseball. As Mike mentioned, not only are they helping out with the players in their team, but they've also been to the Missouri School for the Blind to help out. I know David Smith and Ricky went up. We did a day with them just to help out, and we'll do sports camp in the summer, and they'll probably be a part of that as well. So not only are they helping build the future on the players currently in our team, we're also looking to expand past that too. Just have that program just keep rolling out beat ball talent throughout.
I got on a personal level, that's something that is attractive to me about the St. Louis area is that I guess all areas like the blind community is doing stuff, but the stuff like Mind's Eye and also like the St. Louis Lighthouse for the Blind You guys are all kind of involved in a lot of sports related stuff in the blind community, and not every community has the amount of action going on along those lines that you guys do, and that's very attractive to me as a blind person. It's a blind community I would like to be in. Jason,
I woke up the real estate. I woke up the real estate for you here in the St. Louis area. You know, are we cheaper than California?
I assume cheaper in California.
By a whole big percentage. Jay, before we get to Darren and the Panthers, Jason and Seth, I got kind of like a follow-up that the three of us, a conversation we had before. Jason, we were talking about defenses and teams that use 1 up the middle and 6 up the middle. And you had asked me specifically while we were talking about it, like, what's the difference? And my answer at that time was, honestly, it's just like 6 one, half dozen of the other. Like it's whatever teams prefer doing it. You know what I mean? Not one's not better than the other. But my getting involved, because like Mike had mentioned earlier, I'm in the same spot. I'm not the head coach of the Sirens. I'm a part of the coaching staff, and I'll help out everywhere. But specifically, Bailey Badger and I are in charge of the defense, and I brought the old Dogs defense to the Sirens and the zone system. And because they played with 6 up the middle originally, I was just going to leave it alone. But I realize that I do have a big preference now, because for me, the 3 areas that have to be covered are the power alleys, the left field power alley, center field power alley, and the right field power alley. And what I don't like about the 6 up the middle is 2 of those power alleys are being split into 2 zones. And I this also could just be a personal preference. But I like having one number for the 3 power alleys. Because I'm going to have players like in the 3s, and I don't want them when somebody hits the power alley, I don't want them wondering if it's a 3 or a 4. I want them staying home and playing the ball. Does that make any sense at all, or whatever?
It makes sense.
So, dog, any thoughts that you were part of all that before?
I don't know. I mean, I agree that I've always thought the 6 was unless we're going to use it specifically for a specific ball, it's not necessary. But I don't know I don't know how you are breaking those down. You know what I'm saying? Because you're talking about 3 power alleys basically, but those, in the old days, in the Dogs formations, those were divided up into, between 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, you know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense, 1 being up the middle, we had 2 right down that left center, right. and you know what I'm saying. So, they're already kind of divided up. I like it like that. I'm good with that. I've never been a fan of the 6 sort of thing. Now we flipped it in Houston or Bayou City. We flipped it, and I for the next 3 years stepped wrong every time. It was just but so I don't know. Whatever people are used to, I think now, right? It's hard to just, again, maybe it was that I played for so long. I found it extremely hard to flip over to the opposite number system.
I didn't mean to go this far into the weeds with it, but that may be part of the reason why I don't look at it as that big of a deal. Because the one year that I played with Oklahoma, they played 6 up the middle, and I played straight up the middle, short, and I adjusted to it pretty easily. So I guess I expect players to be able to adjust to it.
Yeah. I think what our system is, I like how we're doing, especially this year. I don't want to say it's going to be easy. I don't want to put any pressure on our defense, but when you have a defense you throw out there with like Kyle Bora, Ethan Johnson, Mark Boris, Ricky Castaneda, Justin Howland, Rich Russell, guys, I can keep going, but guys who've won defensive awards, but they're also smart defensive players.
Yeah.
So, like, adjusting any system, like with any defense we probably want to run, those guys have done it. They've seen it, and their communication helps them be able to, kind of adapt and adjust. So, like I said, we're kind of fortunate. I'm the horrible spotter. I'll tell you that now. Mike will probably attest to it too, but I feel I can hop on the field and just say a number and they'll figure it out. So yeah, I get caught watching. I get caught being a spectator and forget that I'm the one that's was called the number. I'm like, oops, that was me, huh? 3.
Do you guys, before I get D keep up talking about his Panthers, do you guys have any more Archer stuff you want to throw out there?
I think we're just ready for the season. We're excited and we're ready to go and kick it off. And I guess you'll be talking to the first team we'll see next, and which will be Darren Keepers and the Panthers. That's the first game we'll play this year. So we'll get the scouting report now. Mike's are taking the notes.
Excuse me. So, all right, D Keep, man, you're up. What's up with your Panthers in 2024?
We're excited about this year. We have the same roster from the 2022 and 2023 World Series. We have also added on some new people this year. So it's a big squad of 14, but everyone is getting a lot of work put in each practice and understands their individual roles. We don't have any of the top players hitting home runs yet, but we're happy to see everyone coming back and improving every year. My dad started pitching last summer and he has been on fire this spring. So we're really ecstatic to see how it all translates to Vegas and St. Charles. We're definitely focused on building for the long term as well as expansion, just as Jason said. About Mind's Eye. It's fun to say that SoCal has 7-year players now. We're hoping to crack the top 12 this year and keep building.
Ooh, that'd be a big jump. Like to see California get back in the top 12, Seth Dog?
That's where I expect California to be.
Yeah.
Man.
Actually,
I told Darren that last time. He has a legacy he needs to uphold, man.
Seth has literally never finished outside like the top 8, so his standards for California are pretty high. I unfortunately can't make the same claim.
Nah. Oh, consolation kneel.
Darren, man, I'm part of the Sirens, which was the first ever all team made up of all women players, and I know that you've had enough interest down in Southern California from women athletes that you wanted to get something going in Southern California with an all women roster there too. How did that go initially, and how's it looking now?
We've had a huge response from a lot of women and volunteer groups, looking like May for a start date.
All right.
May 1st start date? Is that what he said? Yeah. May 1st?
I thought he just said May for a start date.
Oh, okay. Good.
I mean, mid-May. Okay.
Oh, good.
No, I mean just the fact
how many players are you looking at? What's the numbers for that team looking like?
16 so far.
Holy moly!
Oh, wow.
Did I miss it? Because when they during the board meeting, it was announced all the teams. I think there's 22 or 24 teams, 24 that registered by March 1st. I didn't hear the first handful of teams, but I never heard a team that I thought was this team. Is this team registered for the World Series this year?
No, it's not.
Okay. All right. Any chance there's a team name so far?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I know you said you're bringing everybody back that you had last year, plus you added a few. Um, what is there anything else ahead of the season to get people ready for your Panthers that you want to share about the team?
I just say watch our social and look for those streams.
No, that's fair. You, Darren, from the beginning when you jumped into Beepball, you've been one of the best at getting what your team is doing on social media. I guess I'm thinking too a little bit more like on Twitter, back when Twitter was a thing or whatever. I was much more active when you started the Panthers on Twitter. And like you were a good follow Beepball wise. It took a while for Beepball to kind of slide over to Twitter, and it's never really taken on full. But all the way around, Darren, you've been so great about publicizing what you guys are doing down in Southern California.
Yes, Twitter got us the Today Show, so I'm proud of that.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know how you got that together, but yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. You got I guess I've already asked you that question. I guess for all of you, because I really outline wise don't have anything else to throw at you. Is there anything else? We'll go Jason, Mike, Darren. Is there anything else that you guys would like to touch on before we wrap this up?
I was going to ask Darren, can you tell us which zones in particular your top 6 hitters like to hit it to? But I was like, he probably won't give us he probably won't share that information with us. But no, I am appreciative, like, working in this tournament with Vegas. And as Darren kind of mentioned when he said earlier, this is something that I know it's not probably the easiest logistical wise to do a tournament in another area, but it's kind of cool to see, the city of Vegas has, made comments and support the event and talked about how excited they are in other communities. So seeing an event where neither team is from, but also seeing the community kind of stepping together with volunteers and media and stuff like that, kind of gives hope to maybe some different formats, different cities. Maybe we can do this something similar in the future. So I'm excited about this next weekend, and I guess we'll see Darren on Saturday morning. We might have to do a bet. We might have to do a side bet here. We might have to talk about that. And we're both soccer fans too, so some kind of, if our team wins, he has to wear a single City SC jersey, and if they win, we have to wear like a LAFC jersey.
He said, "Nah,
yeah, those City SC jerseys look really well, Darren. I'll explain it to you one day."
Oh. Mike, any final
Mike said,
thoughts?
"Don't tell Jason," but he said, "We'll plan to wine now."
Yeah, I'm super appreciative of all the teams that stepped up and wanted to be a part of this. Jono and the Blackhawks, the Booker and the Thunder, the Fire, and then obviously the Sirens and the Panthers and the Archers. So super happy with the group that we put together for teams. Mix of newer teams and some older teams to get the tournament started. Also thanks to the city of Las Vegas, Tanya and Crystal, who helped me organize the fields and that portion of the tournament. They've been a phenomenal help with us. And then NFB of Southern Nevada with making connections. Becky there has been a great resource for community involvement, and then helped us fill out some of the volunteer needs that we need in an area that we don't have any boots on the ground in. So making those connections was very meaningful, and hopefully it'll all come together in a great tournament.
Nice. D Keep, final thoughts.
We're really so excited for this. It's going to be a great weekend, and again, thank you to Mind's Eye for driving this tournament. Really thankful to do this in Las Vegas.
All right. I will admit that back in the fall or whenever it was, when Cassandra McDaniel, the general manager and head coach of the Sirens, said we're going to go to Vegas, my response was, why? Why are we going to go to Vegas? But now that I'm more involved with the staff and I've been talking to the players and we got plans to go out and practice. I'm excited too. I'm excited for the opportunity for our team, and I'm excited too. I ran into you, Jason, a couple times last year, but I never got a chance, Mike or Darren, to shake your hands in person. So I'm looking forward to still continuing on from last summer, meeting people that I've just been talking to on Zoom for the last several years.
And Neil, I want to do one last thing too.
Sure.
Send out a special shout out and get well to Zach, and hopefully our prayers are with him too as well in the situation he's dealing with. Not only with him, but prayers also to find out whoever did that, and hopefully they're held responsible. So that's just the last thing I want to make sure I mention too.
Sure. I mean, since you brought it up, I'll touch more on it. Not that, I mean, you already have kind of more information than I do. I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard this, Seth. Zach Arambula was hit by a car and it damaged not just his knee, but his knee is damaged to a point like he's going to have work on it, and he's going to be out for the season. But he also like road rash, whatever. I didn't know until you, Jason, just mentioned. I didn't know it was a hit and run. That's what it sounds like. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, it seems like from the news story, it was an accident where someone, some heartless individual hit him, just walking doing a normal route, going to get a smoothie, and just left him. And that's I'm fortunate. It's sad to see, that he won't be playing, but it's also thankful that's the least of the, the outcome, that he's still alive, still with us. So,
absolutely.
Happy, just praying for him to be a recovery, and hopefully, we talk about ambassadors of the sport, and I know I'm a new, we've been around for 4 years, but I'm a fan of a lot of guys that play, and he's one of the true ambassadors on and off the field. So hopefully he's able to get back on the field sometime soon.
Absolutely.
I was just texting him earlier today. I didn't know about this until like last night. But I told him, I mean this, like, I don't just think he's like one of the best players like right now. Like he's one of the best all around players this league has ever had. And I'm truly sad for him, like what he's going through right now. Any of us having to go through that would be horrible. But for him to, because of it, miss out on a season when he's playing at such a high level right now.
Yeah.
Like the last few years, he's just been a true monster on offense and defense. So I hate to see him lose a season. But definitely a good call, Jason. Prayers out to Big Zach. All right, that's all. Seth, you got anything else for we
No, enjoy Vegas, man. Enjoy Vegas, man.
Do my best. Best. Look forward to seeing you here. What? Go ahead.
Slide you some cash, maybe a little bet.
You know me, gotta take a little juice. Gotta take a little juice.
Make another run at the blackjack table.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
You know what?
You guys can just leave me, man.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Seth is referencing a time when we were at a blackjack table and I was just cleaning house. Had big piles of money. Let him borrow 100. Let Eric borrow 100. And they were ready to leave the casino. And I was like, man, on the way out of town, you guys have to come back here, man. You guys just go get my stuff and come up and get me. Before they left, I lost all that money. All that money. Except for, the only reason I came out all right is because I let Eric and Seth borrow $100.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't just giving it away. That was a loan.
Oh, that was funny.
That was 1995, and I have not been to a casino since. And I will not be in a casino next year.
That's good, man.
I can't. Half our team minors.
Oh.
All right, man. That's it. We're going to wrap this up. We will be back for the 4-year anniversary on Friday. March 29th. Until then, everybody be well.
Thank you all. Looking forward to a great time.
Yeah, thank you, man.